Steam curled up from a chipped coffee mug, rising like ghosts in the fluorescent hum of a near-empty roadside diner. The sound of rain tapping against the glass set a lonely rhythm, broken only by the faint hum of an old jukebox playing something slow and sad. It was one of those nights where time seemed to drag its feet, until the door swung open. If you were sitting there that night, maybe you'd have looked up too. Maybe you'd have seen the way her hands trembled slightly as she adjusted her apron, trying to smile through exhaustion. Her name was Ellie, 24, with eyes that had seen too much for her age. She'd been working double shifts since her mom got sick, barely scraping enough to pay rent and hospital bills. But still, she smiled, because that's what she did. Every customer mattered, every tip mattered, and that's where the story begins. A storm outside, a quiet diner inside, and a girl just trying to survive another night. It started with laughter. The kind that doesn't sound kind at all. 3 men swaggered through the door, rain dripping from their jackets, boots slamming on the tiles like they owned the place. Local troublemakers. Everyone in town knew their kind. They sat in Ellie's section, of course, smirking like they were about to make her night miserable. "Hey, sweetheart," the one with the snake tattoo called out. "You gonna serve us or just stand there looking pretty?" Ellie swallowed, pen shaking slightly as she took out her notepad. "What can I get you?" she asked, keeping her voice even. "Oh, we'll tell you what we want," another one said, his tone dripping with mockery. "How about some coffee, sugar? And maybe a smile that ain't so fake." The men laughed. Ellie turned, her face burning, forcing herself not to cry. She'd dealt with worse. She told herself that. But tonight it felt heavier, crueler. Maybe it was the fatigue. Maybe it was that her mom had called earlier, saying she didn't feel strong enough for her next treatment. Maybe it was that Ellie didn't know how much longer she could keep pretending everything was fine. When she brought the coffee, one of the men reached out and grabbed her wrist. "Simon, don't be shy. Sit with us a minute." She jerked back, the mug rattling on the table. "Please don't," she whispered. The laughter stopped. "What'd you say?" "Please, don't." And snake tattoo stood, towering over her. "You got a mouth on you, huh?" For a moment everything froze, the rain, the jukebox, even her heartbeat. Ellie backed up, trembling, and the diner felt smaller, the air thicker. The cook in the back was a retired vet with a bad leg. He couldn't do much. The other 2 customers had already slipped out quietly. It was just her, 3 men, and the hum of the storm, and then the sound of engines, low, deep, like thunder rolling in from the hills. The men turned toward the window. Headlights cut through the rain, 5 of them, then 7, then more. Motorcycles. The diner door swung open again, and in walked a group of bikers. Leather jackets soaked, faces shadowed, presence heavy enough to make the air shift. The patch on their backs read Iron Saints MC Ivanen, said the one in front, tall with gray streaks in his beard. His name was Rex, though most people just called him Chief. He scanned the room. Ellie's wide eyes, the thugs' sneers, the tension so thick you could slice it. "You boys giving the lady trouble?" he asked, his voice calm but carrying weight. The men laughed again, but quieter this time. "Mind your business, old man," Snake Tattoo said. Chief smiled just a little. "See, that's where you're wrong. She's a friend of ours." Ellie blinked, confused. She'd never met him before. But Chief walked up to her, placed a gentle hand on her shoulder, and said, "You all right, darlin'?" That's when the diner went silent again, the kind of silence that comes before something big. By the time the night ended, the thugs were gone, not hurt, not humiliated, but taught. Chief didn't raise a fist, he didn't have to. His words, his presence, and the way his crew stood behind him made it clear that cruelty doesn't make a man strong. Compassion does. The men left quietly, shame shadowing their laughter. Ellie stood behind the counter, still shaking. "Thank you," she whispered. Chief nodded. "No thanks needed. We look out for people who get stepped on. That's all." She frowned softly. "Why me?" He looked around the diner, the chipped tables, the flickering lights. "Because I saw my daughter in you," he said simply. "Same fire, same fight. Don't let the world take that from you." She didn't know what to say. For the first time in months, she felt something new, safe, maybe even seen. When the bikers left, she watched from the window as their taillights disappeared into the misty road. The rain had stopped. The neon sign flickered back to life. That night, Ellie stayed long after closing, cleaning tables that were already clean, humming to herself. The world hadn't changed, not yet, but she had. Because sometimes heroes don't wear capes, sometimes they wear leather jackets and carry the weight of other people's pain quietly, like armor. And if you'd been there, if you'd seen the way she smiled at her reflection in the window, tired but stronger, you'd know what I mean. You'd know that kindness, when it stands up to cruelty, can echo louder than any engine. Weeks later, a small note appeared taped to the diner door. It read, "Keep your chin up, Ellie. The road's long, but you ain't ridin' it alone." The saints. She smiled when she saw it, tears catching the morning light. So if you ever feel small, like the world's pressing down harder than you can bear, remember Ellie, the waitress who stood her ground when it mattered most. And remember the bikers who walked in right when the night got darkest. Because sometimes life sends you angels, they just arrive on two wheels.